So we had a little internet hiccup, but you were just explaining what motivated you to do Reiki, and I think you were saying that it made you slow down. Could you explore that a little
Yeah,
bit with us?
yeah. I just wanted to, I was still looking for an excuse to slow down because it wasn't second nature for me at that time. So I found this Reiki class very close to home, went there, met the practitioner, decided to enroll, decided then to become a Reiki practitioner, not master. I stopped at Reiki too. um, I loved it because all of a sudden it wasn't about my body. It was about my spiritual experience, which is something that I was really missing while going through hypothalamic amenorrhea because I was spending so much time thinking about cutting the calories and working out and working a very stressful job and always say yes to social events and stuff like that, that my spirituality was really left on the far end corner. So it was a really nice moment to come back to that and tune in with what I really wanted. So even though I'm not practicing it at the moment, I think that it was life changing in that regard. So I didn't get my period back because I already
Mm.
had a period by then. But
Yeah.
I think that it took my life to the next level in terms of spirituality, slowing down, being empathic. And it taught me tools that I'm still using with my clients, even on Zoom. Yeah, fellow Reiki practitioner.
Yes, no, I like how you said, like, brought in the spirituality side of things too, because I definitely did experience throughout those appointments before I started looking more into it on a practitioner level, is that it did really make me tune in, which everyone hears about when you meditate, and because there is sort of that woo-woo culture out there, but on a very serious level, when you have been just go, 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 go all of the time, counting calories, cutting calories, not eating, not sleeping, training all the time, working all the time, they do talk about feminine and masculine energy, and they do shift you very much into a masculine energy. And I do feel like part of me just got blocked out. And I didn't even know because I was just so caught up in that go-go mentality. And part of that slowing down process for me, and including the Reiki side of things, was I found that there was another side of me that wasn't go, go, go. And I don't know, it almost created a space for me to think more deeply about what I was literally feeling physically and emotionally. And it
Yeah.
created a space, and the woman that I saw held that space for me
Mm.
to like literally sometimes say, well, what's coming up? Like as you say that, what are you feeling? And I remember the first time being asked that, like, what do you mean? What am I feeling? I didn't say that to her. That would have been so rude. But in my head, I was just like, I just said a statement. There's no emotion attached. It's just a statement. Like, I'm here because. And that question, it's like, oh, sometimes you're so much in a rush that you don't actually think about, like, literally, is your heart fluttering as you say this? Are you feeling a little bit dizzy as you say something? Do you get tingles in your fingers? Like, what's actually happening as you say particular things? Or have you become numb because you're so like racy that you don't have the time to feel anything? And often, we experience it, and our clients do too. They're like, I'm kind of just a bit numb. And
Mm.
for me, that's what the Reiki sort of brought back. It was this place to go physically and emotionally. What are you actually feeling? Like, what's the shift? What's the difference? Good or bad? Didn't even matter. But it was just literally creating a space to feel things that sometimes I had been avoiding for the longest time, which
Yeah.
was the motivation for a lot of my behaviors, because I'm just not ready
Mm.
to face that emotion. It's too raw, it's too painful, it's confusing, all those sorts of things. Um, did you ever feel, or do you, I guess, reflect on now when you were sort of in that go, go, go lifestyle, that you did feel somewhat emotionless? And then you look at your life now and you feel things emotionally differently. Like, you still have levels of happiness and sadness, yes, but it's more of a whole body emotional response. I don't know if I'm making any sense. You might be able to word it better.
Well, I feel that when I was deep in my HA, I was just anxious, and sometimes depressed. And I didn't accept those feelings. So I was trying to battle them every single day, and it was a lost cause. Right now, I'm experiencing all the feelings. Sometimes I'm very happy, sometimes I'm content, very grateful, extremely sad for many different reasons. And I'm okay. I'm okay with those feelings, with these feelings nowadays. Back then, it was just a constant battle to overcome anxiety, to not feeling depressed. And obviously, I was always using, um, the calorie restriction and the overworking and the overtraining to manage them. And in hindsight, I can say that using all the alternative therapies was really beneficial for me, from the point of view that they shift my nervous system from being in fight and flight all the time to being in rest and digest. Even if it was just 1 hour a week, I at least could feel that there was something else out there that I was missing out on. So since then, I remember that after every single time that I saw the naturopath, I would feel very tired, exhausted, like I could go to sleep, simply because finally someone had listened to me. Someone was finally taking care of my situation. And even though she didn't really help because she didn't understand what I was really going through, um, she was holding the space for me. Same thing with acupuncture, same thing with the Reiki, crystal healing. They didn't bring my period back. They didn't make me pregnant. They didn't take the eating disorder away. I had to do that. But at least they gave me the chance to simply reassess, the situation that I was living in, and understanding that there was an option out there, which wasn't feeling anxious 100% of the time. And if you're happy for me to share, I can also tell you what worked for me. And I'm
Yes,
really interested in hearing
absolutely.
what worked for you.
Yes.
uh, what really, really worked extremely well for me, and I can say for most of the clients that I work with, obviously, three things. Number one, seeing a dietitian or a nutritionist that was well versed in eating disorder and hypothalamic amenorrhea. Because some days it was all about checking my blood test and checking my diet. Other days it wasn't about that. Other days it was about fear foods, weight gain, body image, and feeling frustrated because I wasn't getting my period back and all of that. The second one was a psychologist. I wish that I found a counselor or a mindset coach like you are, Jade, but unfortunately back then the options were very limited. And the third one, was being part of a group. It was a small group that I was so lucky to find online, and it was only 5 of us, and we're still in contact so many years later. But I remember, I think that I've already shared this with you, but back then I thought if I ever recover from an eating disorder and from hypothalamic amenorrhea, and if I ever get the chance to work with women, I will be creating the space that I've been looking for years and is missing. And I think that that's what we have created with the HA community and with the program and with our one-on-one sessions, because it's not seeing a person once a week that makes a difference. It's not getting the third supplements on top of the other four that you're taking. It's not only about getting the needles or getting the right stone for you to feel the vibration, but it's also about feeling heard, feeling that we belong, and having someone that has your back and is there to answer your questions. And I really feel that that's what I needed. And I also really believe that that's what we have created. Well, what's your opinion on it, Jay?
I I wish I had have actually seen a nutritionist or a dietitian, and I think I booked multiple appointments and cancelled last minute because it was very much I know I need the help, but I'm too scared to hear what they're going to say, so I'm not going to spend the money in case I waste my time on advice I'm not going to take. That's complete truth of that. But in hindsight, I look at so many things that I like foods I avoided because I thought I was intolerant to them, and I later worked out, obviously, that I wasn't intolerant. It was just my digestion was messed up from not eating enough and all those sorts of things. But if I had have sought out that help, I could have learnt that so much earlier. And rather than trying to be Dr. Jade, who can do it all by herself, there's especially the digestion. I could have just avoided a lot more discomfort and avoiding. So I started reacting to like fruit and vegetables, which I love. So that was really difficult because it's like they're fruit and veggies. And I just think about all the effort that I put into trying to troubleshoot why this is happening. And I'm so broken. And I just didn't know any better. But if I had have asked for that help, it's actually so common. Like in hindsight, I know so much more about it that if I had have said that to someone who was educated in the field, they would have gone, oh, honey, like
everyone out there.
yeah, like we can work this out. It's not a problem. But instead, I just morphed it into I'm just so broken. I can't even eat broccoli. Like, what the heck? So I actually wish I had have had the guts to just keep the appointment. But then I cancelled multiple times on the one person I wanted to see. So I was just too embarrassed to ever actually show up at that point. So another silly thing that I did. And things that definitely helped, finding people that you trust. Like it took a while for me to find my acupuncturist that, as I said, I absolutely adore. It took me a while to find the appropriate, like I've got a lovely circle of friends, but I definitely had two of my best friends that I could talk to on a level where they didn't get it because they hadn't gone through it, but you could see they really tried to be in my shoes. And that helped. So I guess that links very heavily into just, holding space for people to talk and not try and have that fix it attitude. Like just eat more or just sleep in, just do this. It's like I know they mean well, but it kind of hurts when it's dismissed in such a just do this kind of manner. So definitely finding people on your team that are willing to see your perspective and are willing to hear you talk about the same things over and over again. Because I sounded like a broken record for a lot of the time. So that was really important to me because I think if I had have been dismissed, I probably would have given up multiple times instead of having someone go, I know this is hard, but you're doing a good job. And
you need the reassurance when you're going through such a tough journey.
Yeah. And like, honestly, one of the most helpful things was what my husband said. So my husband trained just as much as I did, died as much as I did. That was our whole relationship. Like we'd train hours a day. We'd eat all the diet foods and then we'd have like a big dinner together. Like it was all very matched. And I remember just one day he turned around and said, oh, like, I'm glad it's you and not me. And it made me feel so good because he recognized that it's hard. And I didn't need him to be like, you can do it or anything like that. Because deep down, I knew I could do it. Like it's all happening in here. But when people know the right thing to say, it just helps so much. So I guess I'm repeating the same thing over and over, but it's just that finding people who really can see where you're at and get it and give you advice that actually clicks, not just either makes you feel kind of horrible or you can tell they're just trying to make you feel better. Like it's a real truth. Does that make sense? I feel like but just
no, it does.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to explain it until you've witnessed it. But I'm sure the women that are listening that have got those people in their lives will be knowing who I'm talking about. It's like they're not sugarcoating, but they're not bossing you around. They're just very objective in a comforting kind of way.
And I've also noticed this morning on the group call in the Czech community that lots of the women, they are actually texting each other and supporting each other, because sometimes you're very lucky to have supportive friends and supportive husband, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes they can be also quite pushy and sometimes they wonder, we wanted to start a family yesterday, why you still don't have a period? So some women are faced with that reality. And for those women, finding support elsewhere is absolutely paramount, because it's such a lonely journey. It's a lonely, lonely travel. And you have been lucky with your partner that got you. And I was really lucky with my husband as well. But man, he didn't really understand anything of the stuff that I was sharing. He was like, yeah, okay, I'm just here to listen, but don't ask me to answer because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. But you know what? Let's cheers to all the the partners and the husbands that are willing to talk about
Yeah.
periods to make us feel better, because you know what, that wouldn't have been the easiest task for them either. But
No,
I was jokingly saying,
let's
well, not
recognize
jokingly,
that.
I was saying to my mum yesterday, I'm like, you have no idea. I think John would know more about periods than most of my friends. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, he's just listened because he knew I needed to talk. So I'd just word vomit all this stuff and he'd be like, that's good. That's great. I'm glad you're learning. I didn't know that. That's interesting. But I guess linking it into what you were saying too about the women that we've brought together as well, is that there's also something special about connecting with people that we're not seeing face to face every day, because sometimes we can want to filter what we're saying to accommodate for the person's feelings that we're talking to. So sometimes it's nice to just have a space where you don't have to have a filter, where you can literally just say exactly what you're thinking, especially with the eating disorder things, because sometimes we don't want to say what we're actually thinking because we think people are going to think we're crazy, which kind of makes everything worse. But to feel safe in a space where you can literally say exactly what's on your mind and get the response of either, I get it, I've been there, here's what helped me, or just to sit there and listen, I find that's really beneficial as well. Just not exhausting yourself on filters all the time. Just, I can really let it out here and no one's going to judge. If anything, I'm going to get some really comforting responses and I'm going to know that it's going to be okay, because I'm surrounded by women who are either in the current space or they were once there and now they're way beyond it and living happy, healthy, flourishing lives.
Love everything that you said, Jay. And I agree with every single point.
I just browsed down at the time and I'm like, oh my goodness, Claudia, it's already time for us to close this chapter of this beautiful podcast. But rest assured, ladies, we will definitely be pairing up for another podcast. I guess this is a good opportunity. If any of you have questions for Claudia or I, you can obviously contact us on Instagram, send us an email, and we can cover some of these topics in maybe another podcast. Or, of course, we do have the incredible HA community and the other wonderful HA Dream Team things we have going on. So if you're interested, obviously reach out. Claudia, as always, it's so wonderful to have you here. And I feel like I'm having coffee with my best friend. Oh, I don't have a coffee. I feel like I'm having a coffee chat with my best friend. So thank you so much for being here.
I agree. I'm just so sorry of two things. One, that the coffee isn't here. And secondly, that it's time to say goodbye.
Oh, I know. Oh, goodness me. But I will see you in no time at all. And I can't wait for more collaborations. It's so much fun talking to you about everything. So guys, thanks so much for tuning in. If you want to like, subscribe, comment, share, all of that would be so helpful, because the more people we reach, the more we can help. So thank you for joining in and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.